morning, Denise. I'm a little early today. I'm kind of proud of myself and amazed at the same time. Hi, Linda. Good morning, Wanda. Trudy. Thank you for the shares. Good morning, Karen. Hi, Paula. Hi, Terry and Lisa. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Yvonne. Before I get to like the actual what we are going to do today, I did finally find that little card thing. It was sitting right in front of me. So I just wanted to show you. This is what I actually cut these out of. The Dragonflies. I just went over it with my blends and then cut it out. And then I kind of did a similar thing with the butterfly. I just took, this one though, I actually took my Stampin' Up markers and did it. So you can see it's a lot more vivid with the blends versus the Stampin' Up markers. You can tell the difference between the two there. Because I use similar colors, so. But the other thing I was going to share with you before we get started today, I don't know if anyone, and this could be for like a whole nother show, but I was making my thank you envelopes this morning, so I figured I would share it with you guys. Do you guys ever make your own envelopes? If you don't have the envelope punch board, it is really handy to have. It does have a scoring tool in it. So what I usually do is I'll take this downstairs and make a whole bunch of envelopes. And then a lot of times I'll stamp the outlines on them. And then I just don't write the addresses on them yet. So I was going to show you how I do one just for the heck of it in case you've never done it. They do have all different measurements here for different size cards. But if you're going to send out, like I usually send out something with my cards. Like if I send like a pack of something and a card, sometimes it tends to be just a little bit bigger. So just as a tip, what I usually do is I typically go with the 4.5 by 6 envelope because it gives you a little bit more room to stuff stuff in it. So just if you've never done it before, I'm going to show you. This is not Stampin' Up cardstock. This is a really heavyweight cardstock. I don't even know what it's from. It has lines in it. You can see it has a really linen-y look to it. Somebody gave me this a while ago and I never really used it for anything. And then one day I realized it was great for making envelopes because it's very sturdy. So this is already 8.5 by 11. So what I do is I just cut the 11-inch side down to 8.5. And when you're making an envelope, you have to be careful because if you score it exactly here where it says, you're going to end up with a square envelope. So what you kind of want to do is for this one, so for example, it's 8.5. So your first score line will be at 3 3/4. So I use that for the first one. So if you line it up right here, if you can see, that's at 3 3/4. And then I just follow the lines for the rest of it. So I'm going to just show you one. So you punch it, which puts this little divot in there for you. And then you take your little scoring tool and you just run down the line, which you can start from the bottom if you need to, but usually if you put your tip in there, you can find it pretty easily. And then from then on, I just line up with the line. So I will put this little tail here right where the line is. So you can see that. Let me just move this just a smidge because it's hitting the volume button and it's making something show up in the screen. There we go. So if you just punch it where the tail is from then on. So punch, score. And then the second one obviously is going to go back to 3 3/4, but I usually will just continue lining up with the lines. And then same thing again for this last one. So then you have your envelope. So you can see you could fit something bigger in there, like something that has a little bit of girth to it, because more so for the body size as well. And then if you take, so you have a little built-in corner rounder too if you need it. If you take it and put it in the other end, it rounds your corner. So if you don't have a corner rounder, this is a really good corner rounder as well. And you can make way more than just envelopes. I actually make a lot of boxes with this as well. So, and then you have an envelope. All you have to do is I keep mine flat because I usually stamp something on the side and then put the address on it when I send a thank you card for purchases. So I usually will keep mine flat, but basically what you'll do is you're going to fold these two sides in. You'll put adhesive on here and here, and I usually use tear and tape, and then fold this one in, and then I'll put adhesive on the top with the tear and tape as well. So just in case you've never seen that done, so I have sent out a lot of thank you notes this month, which was awesome. So thank you to everyone who purchased, I should say in March. Thank you. I still waiting for one more thank you gift to come in, and then people who made under a certain purchase, I still send them a thank you card as well. And I try to send them blank, so that way you can reuse them. But anyway, if you've never gotten this before, it is pretty cheap. I think it's $20, so that's not bad. You can make all different sizes of envelopes. And just one thing to note, you can mail up to a 5x7 envelope still with the same postage. So if you had an envelope that maybe had like a lot of detail to it, you can put it in a bigger one. It doesn't cost any more. It does cost more if they're square because they have to hand cancel them. But just as an FYI, because you know those Hallmark cards, are a lot of those are big and they just take a regular postage. But if you're ever worried about something fitting, just make your envelope a little bit bigger. And this is really handy. I use this a lot. I got it at first because I thought it was kind of a novelty. And I did it with I was making boxes and stuff out of it. And then when I started sending out thank you cards, I've used it immensely more. So let me show you one other thing. I'm going to move my coffee out of the way so I don't spill. So I want to tell you, I did refill this blend. I keep that paper. I thought I had it over here somewhere. Yep, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Here it is. So I did refill the blend, but I wanted to show you how to do the other one. And I just want to tell you this ahead of time. You want to take the tip out of the pointy end, not the brush tip end, because it comes out easier. However, some of them still don't come out easy. So this one comes out super easy. It comes out with the cap, which is a little bit strange anyway, but so that's what it looks like with the tip on. But this one I did have some trouble. So you might just have to work with it a little bit, depending, because I don't think they're supposed to be refilled. So what I did was I took the cap off, and these are needle nose pliers. It is going to scratch up the end, so if you're worried about that, you might want to use like a little cloth or something, but quite personally, it didn't bother me that much. You want to be careful how you pull because you don't want to break it. So if this is going to be, you're refilling it, it's pretty much because you're either going to refill it and hope it works, or else you're going to intend on buying a new one, because as you can see, sometimes, oh goodness, I had a really hard time getting this one out earlier. And I don't want to do the other one because I already refilled that, but it did work. Oh, gravy. I should have left it loose like I had it. All right, I'm going to show you on this one, just so I can actually show you. So you might not be able to get the cap off of all of them. And meanwhile, this one comes out like so simply. It's not even funny. So I did get this one apart, but I didn't re-ink it because I put it back together in the hopes that I was going to show you let me just say, how to get it out. Yeah, anyway, all right, I'm done with this one. I'm going to show you this. So when you finally do get this apart, there is a tube in here. Okay, so this is the one I already refilled, so I'm not going to do it again. But basically, you have two ends. One end is more for the brush tip, and then one end is for the point tip. So if you can see in here, which it's really dark, so it's hard to see, the writing tip or the smaller tip has the deeper end. So when you put this back in, you're going to pop that in there. But basically what I did was I took my coordinating re-inker. Now, since this is supposed to be dark, I added 4 drops of ink to each side. So this is Pool Party. So I put 4 drops in here, 4 drops in here. But before that, what I did was I just took some rubbing alcohol and I just poured a little bit in here to wet it. And then I put the re-inker on top of it. So I just wet the alcohol with the rubbing alcohol. I poured it in. It really wasn't terrifically messy, but I guess depends on how clean you want things to be. And then I put 4 drops, and then I did the same thing on the other side. I let this sit for a minute till absorbed. Then I poured in the alcohol, poured in 4 drops of re-inker. You probably would want to go a little bit lighter on the re-inker with your light color. So this one is the dark Pool Party. But let me pull the other end off. So you can see this one is pretty dark, the tip. And this one, which I can usually get this off pretty, you can tell this is definitely, the tip of this is really, really light. Like you can see the dark color here, but this end is super light. So I don't think I'll be able to get this off. So I'm just going to give it one more shot because I'm one of those people, I just can't let things alone. I can't let things be. Got it out earlier. And I was like, well, I'm going to put it in. That way I can show them how to pull it out. Well, let me tell you what's working. Nothing. So anyway, You can refill these, but again, if you're doing your light versus your dark, I would put like 4 drops in each end if you're doing the dark and maybe 2 in with the light. And it does take a little bit for the tip to like re-wet with ink, if that makes sense. So you can do it. You apparently just must need more either muscles, or maybe you don't want to use needle nose pliers. Maybe you want to use an actual pair of like stronger pliers to try it. But it did work. How much alcohol? I just poured. So I kind of just like, if I'm going to open the cap up and I'm going to just like make an example, I kind of just poured like a little bit. You could see it get wet. So not that much. That was a generous pour. I'd say probably maybe like 3 good drops just to wet the nib so it would take the ink, if that makes sense. No, I did not do a separate video. This is the first time I've done it, as you can see, because it was kind of a fail because I couldn't even get it open. So maybe I can do that as a separate video. If I can get one to open, that might be a good idea. We'll do that in the future. And then I'll also do an envelope video in the future as well. You know, that is exactly right, Karen. As soon as I like turn this off, boom, it's going to go. And I would buy new ones too, Donna. I actually have. I bought new ones for the pool party. These are the old ones. As you can see, the script on this is different. So these are the first set of blends. And then the second set, they kind of changed the writing on them. When I did it, I just got new ones because for me, it was just, I didn't know you could refill them first of all, but it was just, I get like too aggravated with this stuff and then it makes my hands hurt because I get mad. So I have done that with the pool party, was the one that ran out. I have not replaced anything else except the pool party because I think I use these so much. And maybe the crumb cakes are coming like a little bit close because I did take those to a party and some of my Stamp Club people used them. And they, you know, when you use stuff, there's something that's kind of like, that's a consumable. It's almost like a dimensionals or glue dots or snail. You do go through those rather quickly. So let me show you what I have today. And I'm going to put these cards back up here so you can see what we're doing. So this is kind of like a combination thing. I might have called it the wrong thing yesterday. So I just figured I would kind of like re-clarify for the heck of it. So this is like, it's like partial die cutting, but it's also off the side stamping, if that makes sense, because we are adding some of these images after the fact. And then the other thing I want to show you is when I did these kind of backwards. Okay, so I'm going to show you another way that you can do them. And I'm hoping that I'm thinking, because I watched Rick Adkins had one where he did it with the classic garage car. So if you haven't checked that out, it's worth checking out. He did a really neat one with that. But most of this I've watched on Jennifer McGuire. And what I tend to do is like I watch the video over and over and over again. But sometimes still, you know, I'm bound to make mistakes. So I know somebody said yesterday, like, why are you practicing? Because no matter what, I'm going to mess something up. It's just pretty much a given. And in case you missed the beginning of these videos, what I did was I drew the Stampin' Blends and then I cut out the Dragonflies. So that's how I got that graded effect. And I did the same thing for the butterfly. So I'm going to show you, I also did save the piece that I cut out from here because I thought we could use this for like something else another day. So I just colored that with my blends a little bit. But I'm going to show you what you have to do to prep your cardstock first. And then we will try to do some without ruining them. This one I originally did as a card that was supposed to be up and down, but I forgot and trimmed it too short. So yeah, anyway, these will fit in a regular envelope. Let me see if I can reach one without knocking things over. Because what I did was, and I'll show you this after the fact, I trimmed them down so they would be regular size. So I took this into account. So moment of truth, there you go. It does fit in a regular envelope. This one probably will fit this way because I think I cut this. Yeah, I cut this the wrong way. So this will fit sideways. And then this one should fit in here as well. There you go. So they do fit in a regular envelope. So thank goodness I was actually correct when I cut these. And it just depends on how you cut them down. Okay. So you do need, for this, if you want it to actually be accurate, you do need a T ruler and you need a pencil. And I did use Thick Whisper White for this, so I'm going to do that again. I also used Thick Whisper White for the pieces that I cut out so that I can ensure they were sturdy. So I did a couple of these ahead of time. As you can see, this one is wrong. Hold on, these are for different things. So I just have pencil lines. There's no scoring. You don't want to score until you actually figure out what you're doing. So I have one to score that's a tall card and one to score that's a shorter wide card. So we have one. I'll see how many we'll do, but I don't know how many I'm going to finish, but we'll at least do. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to show you how to do these two. And then we have a couple other ones in case I ruin it. All right, so what you're going to do first for your tall card is you're going to take your T-square ruler and you want to make sure that it butts up to the cardstock. And you're going to go to the top and to the bottom. So we're going to measure this at 5.5. Just put a teeny dot. 5.5 at the top. 5.5 at the bottom. Okay, these might not be easy to see, but there are 2 lines there. And then you're going to take your T-square ruler and you're going to line up and just draw a very light pencil line. So that's about halfway. Now, one thing to remember, you are going to cut your cardstock off. So if for some reason it's not exact, it's not going to be a huge problem because you can always trim it. Because a couple of mine, I had the overlaps wrong. So like one piece was sticking out farther, so I just trimmed it. It's no big deal. So it is fixable. This is kind of just a general guideline. And then when you have your other card, what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing, except this time you're going to measure at 4 1/4. So we'll go here, we'll make a little pencil mark at 4 1/4. And then down at the bottom at 4 1/4. Then you're going to take your T-square ruler, line that up approximately, and then once again, whoops, just draw your little line. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be dark. Mechanical pencils do tend to be a little bit dark. But just make sure you have a good eraser. This is a great one on Amazon because it erases, and it also has a sand eraser. If you make a goof and you have to erase like this, whatever isn't there, you can erase it. Just be careful because since this is a sand eraser, it actually will put a hole in your paper if you erase too long. So be mindful of that. So I'm going to put my ruler out of the way. So we have a few things to do today. Does anybody have a specific one that they want to see? I did keep most of these out from yesterday. Another one that would be cute too, I was thinking about this last night as I was falling asleep, would be cool if you did a balloon. So we could do the balloon die, and then you could cut out pieces of paper and you could actually lay it behind here to color it in before you laid the whole thing down. So that would be cute. Be a little bit of work, but it would be really neat. They are going to peek through the other side, but I think somebody's going to be so like just jazzed by the fact that you made this really cool card that I don't think they're going to care that the other side peeks through or the way it opens. And I'm just going to get my paper piercer out here. And I will be able to put the blog posting will go onto a blog, and I'm not sure if Ann can hear that or not, but I will type up the post and you'll be able to find it on Rachthestamper once we're finished today. So I will reply to her on there eventually. Balloon die. Yeah, lighter lead in the pencil would help. That's true. Or I could just use a real pencil, Diana. But I have so many problems with finding a pencil sharpener I like. But it's okay, because I did all the other ones with the mechanical pencil as well, and nothing came through. So I have somebody see the balloon. And you're supposed to be making a cake. You can make a cake. Just listen. And then if something sounds really funny, just hop back in. All right, let's see what else. Yes, someone did guess what I was doing, but I just picked a name, and the name of the winner is actually at the top of the post. So if you missed that, that is up there. And those pens are not made to be refilled, Diana. Those are not refillable. The other ones are refillable. Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely to get a better one. I'm going to do one of the Dragonflies because this one was a little harder, so I kind of want to show you what I had to do with it. And if you are going to do a Dragonfly, I would highly recommend it doing on the wide card because you have more above and below space, and you'll understand that once we do it. But I'll do a balloon. What else did we have over here from the other day? We had the butterfly. Thank you, Kathy, for writing that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I will definitely put this on a post, which I usually do. But thank you for sharing that as well. And let's see, what else is over here? Do one with the cross, too. That would be pretty. Let's do one with the cross. I'm going to do one with the cross. And I'm going to actually do it with the solid cross instead of doing with this one, because this one I don't believe cuts on the edge. It might cut. I'm not 100% sure. That's one other thing you have to be careful of. Just when you're choosing your die, you want to make sure that you have a die that cuts And let me give you an example of what I mean, because this is where I goofed up when I did this one yesterday. The Eastern medallions, some of them cut and some of them don't. So some of them will cut a rim, but as you can see, this inside here does not have a cutting portion. So it's not going to cut out the full circle, if that makes sense. It's only going to cut the edge. So you want to make sure whatever you're using to do this, to make it simple for you, to especially to start, to do one that actually has full cutting ability, if that makes sense. You could do this too with very simple shapes. You could do it with ovals or circles or whatever the case may be. So we'll start with these, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So let's see, I have to have one more over here. Do one for the cross. We'll do this as a wide card. I think it will work out better as a wide. So what you're going to do first is you're going to kind of figure out what it is you want to do. And you do want to have your painter's tape. I know some people like the purple tape. And you could do this like this. You could do it partial die cut this way. Well, let's do this one vertically for a change. I'll see if I can do this without ruining it. I'm going to put it on a little bit of a skew though. So you want to put your little bits of tape. This is tape that has been used so many times. It's not even funny. I definitely got my money's worth out of this, but a little bit of tape just to hold it in place. I'm going to do the same with this one. And this one, it is important to not have too much hanging over because of the cutting spaces. And once I actually cut this one's a little, I got my money's worth out of that piece. It's not sticky anymore. Once I cut it, it will make much more sense. And I'm going to just put just one little piece down here. So there's two. We'll do this one. I'm not going to do this exactly at the half. I'm going to kind of do it a little bit off. Hopefully this is straight. If you really want to make sure, you could probably get your ruler out and check, but I'm going to trust that that's straight enough. And the butterfly. Let me do this one sideways again. Kind of like it up a little bit more, so I'm going to go with that. All right. Put this here. I think that's probably good. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple things, and there is a good chance I could do this the opposite way because yesterday I was doing it one way and you're supposed to do it a different way, so please bear with me. This will be the part where someone told me not to practice because they want to see the mistakes. I guarantee you something is going to be incorrect, so just hang in there. It's going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I have my, I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going to use the magnetic platform. So I have my magnetic platform and the cutting pad on the bottom, and then I have a cutting pad for the top. All right, so what I was intending to do, so yesterday when I did this, here's what I did. I put this through like so. So all the ones yesterday, you can do it both ways, it's just going to look different. All the ones I did yesterday, I put through and I lined up, put this, hold on, there's too many things in the way over here. Put this so you can actually see it. So I lined up the edge of this with my line. Okay, so show you what I mean. So this can go in a little farther. It's not going to hurt it, but you only want to get a partial cut. You want to only put both pads on one side. So this side is not going to cut. This side will cut. So if you put it like this, you're going to get the card I made yesterday. Which, where did I put them? Just so I can kind of explain why. So what's going to happen is this side is going to have the opening. And technically you're supposed to do it the other way. So I'm going to show you that once and I'm going to see what it looks like, because now that I've done it the other way, I might end up spiting myself. Let's see. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out the butterfly part, which is going to kind of frame it over, if that makes sense. So the die cut will be all one piece. So you'll see when I do this. And what I'll do is I'll do it both ways so it makes sense. Since this is a thinner die, I did go through it. Oops. That slipped off there. I was going to say I did go through it twice. Make sure that's cut. Actually, that's cut pretty well, so I'm not going to do that. So this one, and I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to do one. Just be careful when you're pulling off your tape. what you want to do is pull it against the paper because it will tend to not make a mess. So this one you can see is cut the opposite way. So that's one way of doing it. I'm going to show you the other way. Let me just pull one out here. It's not going to be the same shape, but I'm going to do it this way so you can understand what I mean. So when I did the other one, originally the way I did it was this. And I fed the front part in, which kind of gave me like a backwards version of it. But either way will work. It just really depends on what you want to do. Okay, so this time, we slide this up just a little. Scoot this in. And I'm going to put this through. Okay, oops. Just want to make sure, you do want to make sure it's straight. Because if not, then you'll have a crazy cut. And then you're just going to have to use your paper over again. All right, let's see what this looks like. Try and pull this off just so I can make sure it's cut. Yep, that's cut. Okay, so when you do it, just try not to rip my paper. That's got my money's worth out of that one. So when you do it, this, you can see it's two different ways. Okay, so this is the original way I did it. This is the other way you can do it, where it's going to actually be that it's causing you less work is essentially what it's coming down to. Okay. So as you can also see, my score line is just a little bit off here because of the way the bevel is, because the bevel doesn't really cut. So you want to make sure you have that, the bevel, because it doesn't have as much pressure there. You want to have it to more so the line. So if you can see the line here is what you want to line up with this. Not necessarily the bevel, because the bevel loses pressure. And you'll notice that when you cut something, if maybe you have like a whole bunch of stuff lined up on your paper and you have something down here by the bevel and you're like, why doesn't that ever cut? That's why, because the beveled edges doesn't have as much pressure. So I'm going to put this in. I'm just going to hopefully do my best to line it back up. And I just want to cut it just a little bit more just to show you what I mean. Okay. I'm going to run this through one more time. Hopefully that's straight. Find out in a minute. You can't hear over the mixer. Oh, you guys crack me up. All right, so that went definitely much more to the actual edge. Almost a teeny bit too far, but it's okay. We can work with that. That's no big deal. So I'm going to do this one just a little bit more as well. And this is the one we fed in backwards. So let me just line this up. And when I do the rest of them, we'll try to do it so I line it actually correctly on the line. Okay, that looks good. Start to feed, start to crank. Let's see what this one looks like. That's much better. Now this one, again, it went a little too far. So you're going to have to kind of play with it to get your spots figured out, and I do apologize. It's not an exact science for me yet, but when you fold it, it's not going to make a difference anyway. So we're going to do those two, and then let me put the other ones through. We'll do these, and I'm going to do this the way Jennifer McGuire shared. That way, in case you decide to go to her video, I think she called hers Off the Edge Stamping, you'll be able to see exactly what the way she did it. But she did share it like 3 different ways. She also did share it that you could fold the card and just make something to stick off. That way, if you didn't like the actual cut part, it wouldn't be there. So that one's cut. And let's do this one. Now, when you do it this way, just one thing to make note of, okay? When you do it the other way, so when we're going to fold this one in, nope, that's the wrong way. When you fold this one in, you are going to have the hole in the back. So I kind of like the hole in the front, which is why I did it the other way, if that makes sense. So I'm going to show you for this one the way I originally did it so I can show you how to cut. So once again, I'm just lining this up with the line. I am lining up kind of like in between. I'm going to go with in between the bevel and the end. See if that helps. Yeah, that's true. Very good point, Donna. You know, sometimes our conversations on here are a little dicey. I'm going to go through this one just one more time, just because this is a very detailed die. So I just want to make sure I got all those little pieces on the Dragonfly. And that will make sense a little bit more once I actually show you how to cut it. So then we have just one more. And I'm going to do this one the other way. So I'm going to do this opposite, where I'm going to cut the top out. Oops. Okay, so same thing again. So I'm just lining this up. And hopefully, I'm just hoping I'm telling you guys all the right thing, because that's the one thing I worry about whenever I do something that's like not my idea and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I always try to figure out how to tell you that it's the simplest to do it, but sometimes I feel like I make it into way more than it needs to be, and I just don't want to ruin it and tell you guys something and you're like, that daggone Rach the Stamper doesn't know what she's talking about. Okay, so for now, this is going to be it, because I'm going to show you how to fold these first, and then I will show you when we do the extra cuts what we're going to do with them. Okay, there's, oh Lord, there's debris and hair's falling out. Okay. You have been behaving yourselves lately. I don't know what's wrong with you guys. I'm starting to get a little worried. So I do still save all my little pieces of tape because I could always use them for something. So I'm just going to pull these off. Most of these, because I've run them through more than one time, the little pieces will come out pretty easily. Okay. All right. So now what you have to do, we'll put all these in the same place so I don't lose them. So now what you're going to do is, I find this pretty easy if you're going to use your Stampin' trimmer. You could use a scoreboard though, if you have a scoreboard, because you only want to score part of it, okay? So as you can see, where our line lined up, which is really no big deal. It's not lined up exactly in where we put the line. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to score above and below where the cut is. So I'm kind of trying to eyeball where the cut would be, which is where it's kind of nice to have your trimmer because you can see the edge here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to line where the cut would be. And I'm going to just score down. And, well, let me turn this one upside down. And then up. So I'm going to come from the tip of the cut. Oh, geez. Hold on. That one went super wonky. So what you're doing is, you're going to fold it in. And then you have your cut hanging off, okay? So then what you could do is, now here's the part where if you didn't want to use this, the other thing you could do is you could take your cross, which was this other cross, you could cut this out in something really pretty and you could overlay it. So that would be really simple to do. So we'll do that for this one since I showed you. But I just want to show you one other thing. So once you have your card folded again, it's going to open, it will kind of fill in the card here. So that's kind of nice because when they open it, it fills in the back of the card. But again, you could also put a layer on top of it if you didn't want the hole to show. It just really depends on what you want to do with it. But once you actually get it scored, that's when you're going to just take your eraser. And I know this does not measure exactly what we said it was now, but it's going to kind of get trimmed down anyway, so it's not too big of a deal. Okay, so then what you would do is, if this is going to be where it is, where you want it, and your card is, this should be 5.5, that's right. So this would be 4 1/4. So what you're going to do is, you're going to line the edge of the cross up to the 4 1/4, like so. Oops, and this one, hold on, I folded this one a little bit crooked, so let me just see if I can just fix this just a little bit first. Sorry, bear with me here. Okay, so you're going to line your cross edge up with the 4 1/4 and then trim the end off. So then this is now going to be 5.5, and it will, even though this part sticks out, it will be 4 1/4, so it'll go to the end. So this will fit into an envelope just like this. Okay, so kind of easy. Hold your breath. You know, you keep holding your breath, but breathe in between because we have how many more cards, and I'm sure something is not going to turn out correctly. So there's one. So again, you could cut the cross off if you wanted to. You can also, so what Jennifer McGuire showed in hers is some of those closed, right? But you can also trim this off and you could add your whole other cross to it if you wanted to. So you can lay something on top of it, and that'll make much more sense once we actually go along and do one. So I'm going to do the same thing for this, for the butterfly. Another thing you could do if you wanted to, if you're a little bit worried about the tip of your bone folder, is you could use your stylus from either the Take Your Pick tool you could use your stylus from, or you could use it from your Simply Scored. So I'm going to just go in again right where this was, and this time I'm going to do it with it folded. So I'm just going below the butterfly. So I'm going to show you there. So I made my score line below the cut mark on the butterfly. And then line this. I'm just lining up my pencil, and I'm going to do the same thing above. And it's kind of nice if you do it with it closed, because it kind of gives you that area to sit it in, if that makes sense. So do that like that. Make sure this remotely looks decent. Now this would be one where she cut this off, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so everything is pretty much lined up here the way we want it. So we're going to go ahead and just reinforce this with our bone folder. Okay, and you do want to erase your pencil mark. I forgot that step. Hold on. Erase your pencil mark. Okay, so when you do it the way that I did, which was a little bit more of the backwards way, now what you're going to do is you're going to want to cut your butterfly off, okay? It does not have to be exact, because you can always go back with your snips and trim. So what I do is I line the edge of the card. This is the little piece that comes out inside your trimmer. And I just want to show you, I line the edge of this up with that. So I don't want anything that I don't want cut to be in there, okay? So I'm going to put this back, just so you can see a little bit better. So I kind of put my fingernail and make sure that this is free. And then you're just going to slide up and cut off the end of your butterfly. And then you can go back with your paper snips if you need to and just trim it just a little bit closer. Okay, so just like that. So it might be a little bumpy looking on the other side, but once you get the hang of it better, you'll definitely do a much better job with it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to end up cutting out another butterfly, and we're just going to overlay it onto this side. Okay, so that's number 2. So this just looks like, what did she do? We just haven't laid the part onto that yet. Okay, now one other thing though, and see, I think I just did the wrong thing. Did I? Did I? I think I might have done it. I think I did it the wrong way. Yep. Because I cut this part out. So it's not going to be there. So when I put this here, that will lay... No, I'm wrong. See? I'm just second guessing myself. This is fine. I didn't screw this one up yet. This will be the one where we're going to see if I mess it up or not. It's so fun being me. Okay. So we have our other card. Now this is the one that was cut the Jennifer McGuire way. Rachel way. Jen way. So I'm going to do the same thing again, where I'm going to just line up my my pencil line with the, what do you call this, like a trough with the ledge, I don't even know, with the gap here, and I'm scoring above and below. Okay, so I have my score line drawn in there. I'm going to go ahead and erase my pencil line. No matter what way you do it, quite honestly, and especially if you're not doing it live in front of people, it's fixable. I'm so glad I practiced this, because I probably would have went into like a crying meltdown by now if I was really making a mistake. So now I'm going to just fold this just like that. I do want to make sure these line up. This is the one we were going to do vertically, so I want to keep that in mind when I trim this so I don't cut it too much. So then you're going to overlay your butterfly. Okay, so this will be the piece that goes behind. Whereas mine, we can overlay a butterfly, like if you can imagine, if this was a whole one, we're going to just lay one on top of this. So you're going to cover up this whole piece here, okay? This one we're going to put in an entire butterfly as well, but it's going to lay differently. So I'm hoping that makes sense, but both of them will make sense hopefully in a few minutes. Let me just finish doing these last two. I'm going to save this one for last because this has a little bit more cutting space, so you understand that. And it is a great technique once you get it down. It just takes a little bit of practice, that's all. So once again, I'm lining up the pencil mark with the little cutting space. I guess that's the best word I can use. And I'm going to score, I think that's just a little crooked. I'm going to score below the balloon. And then where's the end? Right about here and above the balloon. Okay, so you have your fold marks there. I'm going to go ahead and erase this. I'm kind of surprised that I haven't seen more people, more Stampin' Up peeps anyway, doing this, unless I'm just not watching their videos, which could be. So I'm going to just do the same thing, just fold this. Okay, so there we have that. So we're going to just end up cutting out our balloon. Hopefully some of these are going to actually pop through. And then some of them are going to be white. So it kind of just depends. If this is something that bothers you because it's going to have part white and part dark, this might not be the dye that you want to use, but I think it's going to turn out cute eventually anyway. All right, so for the last one, and the reason why I saved this one for last is I want to show you, you do need to have like a craft cutting knife for this. I got these on Amazon, I think. It came with 3 different ones because there's a little bit of kind of in-between cutting you have to do because of the way these dies are designed. So this, you don't want to do these as your first one. Do like the butterfly or something not quite as detailed. So I'm going to once again take my bone folder and I'm going to do below. I'm going to kind of do just a little bit inside. There's a little bit here inside and then above. Okay, so let me show you this. And I'm actually going to get out this is not ideal. You really don't want to be using your paper piercing mat for this because it's going to cut into it. So if you have one of those self-healing mats, but I have a couple of these, and also I was just being lazy. So I'm just going to show you the way I did it the other day. Okay, so you have your dragonflies. But you can see you have all these other little doodads in here. Okay, there's some of these doodads we do have to cut out. So as you can see, like this is folded. Here we have a little fold thing here. Don't really need that piece in there. But some of these we just have to kind of cut the ties in between. You just need to be a little bit more careful with this one. So we're going to kind of partially fold it. And then we're going to just do a little cutting. So I'm folding my edge. We really want these to be folded as well, but there's a couple little pieces that have to come out. So let me show you. I'm going to try my best to keep my head out of this. Every time you cut this, it will kind of be a little bit different. I'm just cutting out those center pieces from the dragonfly wings. So if you move this over a little bit more, let me see what this looks like. If you move these over a little bit more, because we're gonna trim this off, it will make much more sense. All right, so let me grab my trimmer one more time. And you can hand trim these. You can put them in and trim them. It just depends on what you feel comfortable with. If you're afraid you're gonna cut something off, you could always hand trim them. And the other thing is too, yeah, I did a little goofing with that. So I'm going to just go through and just cut right along the edge here just to kind of cut off this little layered piece. When you lay your dragonfly in for this one, no, it looks like I'm messing it all up, but I promise I'm not. Just trying to get rid of that ledge. When you lay your dragonfly in, you're also going to still need your little craft knife to just kind of fit some of those pieces in, okay? So there's that, all right? So now what I'm going to show you, I'm going to do all these really simply because I want to be able to show you how to get them in, but also I know it's 10 after 10 and I have to be leaving to get him by 11. So if this goes a little longer, I know some of you guys probably have stuff to do, so I will apologize in advance, but you can always come back and watch it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some Thick Whisper White. that I just have over here. And I'm going to color a few of these in with different stuff. Again, you could cut the balloon just out in black if you wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a few things with the Stampin' Blends. And let's see. So we have that. And we'll use this color. And do... How about that? We'll do that to that. We'll do this one for the balloon. That way I just want to be able to show you kind of how to overlay it. That makes sense? So you at least have like a few ideas. You could do a whole paper like this and then cut multiple stuff out of it as well. All right, so this should, I'm just trying to see if this fits, because if not, we can always fill it in a little bit. So we'll do that for the dragonfly. I mean, that for the balloon. We will do, let's see. I'm going to do the dragonflies a little different than I did them the first time. And also, when you have your Stampin' Blends, just as a tip, I know a lot of times when people do markers, they do get like a little bit overzealous. You don't really need to press really hard. So the harder you press on these tips, it's going to make them kind of start to separate at the end. So really, if you just have a really light hand, like this hand is so light, if I dropped it, it would probably fling across the room. So we'll do, let's see, we can always go back and fix some of that if we need to. We'll do this for the dragonfly. Go a little bit more over here. No biggie. And we also had, let me see. We'll do one of the cross. I'm going to do this in dark Mango Melody, just so I can kind of show you how to set it up. Kind of doing a little bit more in the cross area. Let's see. Okay. Hopefully that's pretty close to good enough. So we have this, this, and the only other one, last one I want to fit in is the butterfly. So let's see, for the butterfly, let's do some purple. So we have, I'm going to do Highland Heather. This is light Highland Heather. It'll kind of be for the center. Again, you could do this with black on the middle part where the body would be. And actually, I think that was, this is Razzleberry, not Heather. Sorry. So I did go ahead and color it in with the blend that was the black one. But you don't have to do that. You could fill it in ahead of time. You can just leave the body the same color. And then I'm going to take a little bit of, what is this one? Light Real Red. And just kind of do a little bit of edging on the tip, because it's going to kind of pick up a little bit, just so it looks neat. We'll see what this looks like. This might be a not attractive butterfly. Might be the best butterfly we've ever seen. And I'm just going to do a little bit of dark Real Red. Okay, so there are those. I'm going to keep these out. That way I can write what colors we used if anybody has any questions. So now I'm going to pull this back in. I'm going to pull the Big Shot back in just so I can die cut these. And we'll see if we can get a couple of them done at the same time. Oh, 50 of these? Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine doing 50 of them. Unless you did, I mean, the cross would be pretty simple if you were doing something like that. Or a simple image. And quite honestly, the butterfly is not that hard. The butterfly is easy. If you were doing 50 of the dragonflies, yeah, you probably pull your hair out by the time you were done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up kind of the best I can. As I said, I know a little bit of it is going to be white. And we'll have to fill that in, but that's okay. We'll work with that. So I'm going to do these two first. You could also do this on DSP. Would be a good idea. You could do it on colored paper. You could do foil paper. Lots of options. All right, so let's see what these look like. These should come out pretty easily. All right, so there's going to be our cross. And butterfly come through. Yep, butterflies all the way out as well. So I'm going to sit these on the side and I'll pull them out when we're done. That way you can see them. And then I'm just going to do my last two, which will be the dragonfly and the balloon. And other thing too is if you have a little bit of white space on these images, it's not really that big of a deal because a little bit of white space does give character to stuff. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, because both of these are kind of detailed dies, I'm going to just run them back through one more time. Sorry about all the shaking there. Okay, now we're going to pop this out. And then the other thing is too, if you had like some other little things, you could always do it on the other side or pick up little pieces of both. So I do tend to hold on to some of my scraps until I'm just really sure that I'm done with them. Just even if it's for the color combination. All right, so let me show you. I'm going to get my little paper piercer. I'm going to pop this one out. If you have your die brush, that'll certainly help you get all these little things out better. But we have our, whoops, something got stuck on here last time I did it, see? That's why you have to make sure you clean your dies, Rachel. Yeah, so I didn't, this one is going to have to get run through again because what happened was I probably didn't clean out my cross from the last time I used it and it got a little stuck. You also do want to make sure, this could have been operator error, I should have waited for the, make sure the alcohol was really, really dry before I used it. But, so just as a quick example, if you're doing your cross, and this would look nice because it's going to overlay with the white, you could just lay your cross over, glue it on top so it matches exactly, obviously with all these pieces popped out, but there's one example for you. I'm not going to put that one together because I'm going to have to fix that a little bit. Now we'll do the butterfly, which didn't turn out too bad, but again, sometimes the way you run these through, if they are at the end, they do get a little goofy. But the butterfly is pretty. And then what I could do is, just because you have these pieces, you could also use the die brush if you wanted to make this a little faster for yourself. You can also, which I've told you before, run your dies through with a little bit of wax paper. I've done that before. I've never had any issue with wax buildup. I know some people do, but I've never found that to be a problem. So what I'm going to show you is, I get these boogers to cooperate. Now what I'll do with these little open spaces, and so I'm going to take, here's my dark marker, I just filled this up. I'm going to just take my dark pool party and just kind of fill in a little bit of the color of the white spots. Or you could leave the white spots, kind of up to you, whatever it is you want to do. Just like that. There you go. I don't know, Fran. I think you're going to have all of us showing up at your house to eat this cake that you somehow think you're giving to somebody or keeping for yourself, because I love cake. Pie, cookies, any of that kind of stuff. So here's our butterfly. So again, I'm going to just show you what I was intending. So if you have the butterfly where it's kind of hanging off, what you're going to do is you're going to lay this over top. Just like that, and that would be the front of your card, and then when you open it, it's going to close back up, close to fill the back in, okay? So if you're going to do this way, you're just going to cut a whole extra butterfly. You could even, if you wanted to, is like leave the front end kind of coming off, so as if he was like flying away, and just make sure you really adhere it to the back part so he flaps. Or, if you're going to do it the Rachel way, what you would do is you're going to put glue on half of it. I do find that this is a handy tip. So what I do is I lay this in where I want it to go. And then I close this up, and then I'll take my pencil again, just so I make sure I don't get the glue too far. And I'll draw a pencil line on the back. That way when I put my glue, I know I can go up to that line and put the glue on. So I will show you how to do this one as well. So there's that. So what we'll do is we'll lay this one in. Let me just finish up with the other two. We have our balloon. I haven't done this one before, so I'm kind of hoping it turns out well. And the balloon, sometimes, I think, I haven't used this balloon very much. A lot of other thing is too, once you use your dies a lot more, I do tend to find that, well, like once they get that initial cutting through, they do cut a little bit better than I expect. The other thing with this is, depending on how your paper is, you could also pop out just certain parts and leave certain parts closed in. So you could kind of leave the color in parts of them if you want. And then you'll have part of it showing through, but not all of it. I am going to try to pop all this bottom stuff out because since it's going on a white card base, I think it'll look a little bit neater that way with the contrast between the two. There is a lot of other detail to the stamp set specifically too that you could stamp and punch out. Let's see if I get these two out without ripping anything. Come on guys, you can do it. Okay, so this one, let's see if I can get some of these out. Yeah, these are wanting to stay. So this one I would run through again if it were me. What I'll do is I will just take this, make sure I have everything cleaned out, and then I will just line it back up and run it through the Big Shot one more time just to get all those little doodads to pop out a little bit more. So I'm going to do that real quick just so I can, I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to do it so I can show you what I mean. Okay, I actually went back and forth twice with that. And now pretty much everything else should really pop out super easily. Whatever it is you want it to pop out. Okay, so then what you would do with this one is, where is my other one? You're going to just lay this. Now, obviously, you're going to need to make sure that your stuff is popped out on the top of this as well, if you want it. And this is where you have the space where you have those couple little things where you might actually have to nip them because of the way the partial die cut went. It might not have cut through as much as you wanted to. So I usually put them through and kind of bend them, if that makes sense. Just want to be able to show you exactly what I mean. These are kind of like the Facebook Lives where you're going to need like a sandwich or a snack. Maybe I should start putting that on there ahead of time. This is going to be a long one. Get your snacks ready. Okay, so I'm going to push this through. See if I can bend these a little bit with my bone folder. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and just snip the back edge of it. Okay, and then what you would do is you will just match this up and overlay your card on there, or your die cut on there. And then you could stamp, because we have clouds, you could stamp the clouds. You could add, I don't even know what happened to that other little cloud that I had earlier. Here it is. You could punch out some of these clouds and you could adhere them on to this as well, which would be a really, really pretty card. That's actually a really pretty color combination. So I got these on this poker is like the old one that Stampin' Up carries. The one they have now is like much prettier. Mine is just really, really old. So you could do that as well. So I'm going to show you, the last thing I want to show you how to do, and then I'll put that one card together, is the Dragonflies. And the reason why I want to show you how to do the Dragonflies is because this one was a little bit goofy with the cutting. And I just want to make sure you understand, if you decide to use this one, how to put it on. But it does have a really beautiful result. So I personally do think it's worth the effort. And this is going to be one of those cards where you give it to somebody, one of your people that you know never throws cards away. Like me. Okay, so we're going to pop this out. Cool part about this too, when you do it with the blends, is you can make this really any theme you want. Okay. Just get these couple little ones through. Make sure they're off. All right. Okay, so what you're going to do first is you're going to want to eyeball, see where this is, okay? You're going to see if when you did your trimming, was it good enough that it's going to actually open, because it sometimes takes a little bit of help to get it to make sure that it opens correctly. Let's see. So what I did was kind of laid them in there and then put my fingers in and held them. And somehow the way I trimmed this, actually I must have lined the dies up a little bit better. It worked out pretty well. So same thing again, once you get these lined up where you want, when you have a die like this, that even though we use Thick Whisper White, it is a teeny bit flimsier, I did still go to the effort to make a little pencil mark, just so I knew where I wanted to not put glue. Okay. So you're going to take this. I would highly suggest, even those of you that do not like liquid glue, that you use liquid glue, because it gives you the opportunity to be able to move something if you mess it up. So I'm going to just take my Tombow. I have also used, what's this called? The Multimedia Matte Glue. Anything that is a strong liquid glue. So what I kind of did was, and this again, we get the messy fingers. So I have also toyed with the fact of, should I use the fine tip glue pen, but I think that the Tombow sticks way better than that. So that's why I'm using this. So I did that. And then so I don't get the goop. You're a lot late. That's okay, Joyce. It'll still be there. No worries. I took and I just kind of spread it with my finger to make sure I got it on all the parts. Okay. And it might go through the other side. If so, just kind of wipe it off. Now I just, you know, very professionally wiped off my hands. Make sure none of that's what it's supposed to be. I'm going to take this and kind of line it up where I think it needs to be. Okay, so I'm pressing it in so it fits that. And then I'm going to hold a piece of it, and you want this to dry open because you don't want the card front flap to stick where you don't want it. So I just kind of made sure it looked lined up. This tail moved, so that's not right. That's not, still not moved. There you go. So once you have it where you want it, just use a clean finger, give a press, and let it sit. I would let it sit open, or you could let it sit standing up, because that glue is pretty firm. And then that way when it closes, right, it's going to be perfect. I'm going to do that with this one as well. I'm going to show you what I did. Just make sure that piece is out. Now that every single thing is sticking to my fingers. And I know that's probably why some of you guys don't like that glue, but also at the same time, it does really cool stuff. Really makes your projects hold way better than snail, in my opinion, as well. I think some people, and I can totally appreciate this, if you're doing a lot of craft work, you don't like sticky fingers because it tends to lead to everything sticking to everything. Totally feel you on that. Just popping out these last couple little bits of holes. So make sure this is all clear. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Tombow. Yes, it does. And I actually have one of those. Speaking of, it's just buried in my desk here. The Take Your Pick tool is very handy. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, and you do want to remember, because you want this whole thing to be glued all the way down here at the bottom, just to add, I probably shouldn't be doing this on top of my card, just to add a lot of glue. And then I'm going to set this right so it's exactly on top, so it exactly matches. You could offset it if you like that little shadow look, which is a perfectly cute thing. But so there's that one, and then we'll trim this one down in a moment as well. I just want to show you how to do the butterfly too before we go. That way you have it. So you remember we already made our line here. Cool part about this one is, since the whole thing matches up, you don't really have to worry about where your glue goes. Just make sure you glue it enough. So I'm going to do the same on this one. And I think when I did my, was it the Dragonfly? Maybe it was the balloons. I think I got a little overzealous with all the stuff that I added in the background. I think the nice thing about these type of cards is that you don't really have to have all that stuff in the background. And it looks just perfectly fine without it. Flip this over so it doesn't get stuck. So we're going to take this and we're going to fit it in the space where it's going to open. And then we're going to open our card and just make sure it's pressed down really well. Okay, and we're going to either let this one lay to dry, or again, you can sit it up, because once you get that glue in place, it is pretty tacky that it's not going to move. And then you have that card as well. And what I'm going to do is, let me see, what do I have that's like really handy? Oh, I'm going to show you just one more thing, just because I want to show you. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching. I want to show you one more thing. I'm going to cut a butterfly out with this DSP because I just want to show you how simple it is to overlay this before. So I'm just going to use this piece of DSP. This is from the Tranquil Textures. And that way I can at least show you how that one works as well, because it is opposite since I haven't done one. Now when you run a die cut through with the DSP, since it's so much thinner, I really wouldn't go through multiple times because there's a good chance you might rip your paper. So what I will kind of do is I usually for this one will tend to poke everything through, and if I notice there's like one thing sticking, then I might run it back through, but for the most part. And of course all these cards, I'm going to cut them down for you too real quick before we finish up, just so you can see. Almost done. See how they line up. You will want to add like some sort of sentiments or whatever to them as well. Let's see, they look pretty good. Okay. All right, so there, that's easy. So we got a nice little butterfly with very minimal work. So then I'm going to do the same thing for this one. You can actually do it opposite if you want to. You could add the glue to this. And then you just have to decide if you really want to let your butterfly wing kind of flap up a little bit, you could. And I'm going to let it just be partial. So I'm going to do part of it. I'm going to do more of the body. And then we'll kind of just fiddle with where we go from here. And I went a little too advantageous with my, I thought I was dealing with a dragonfly here, not a butterfly. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue just a little bit more of this down. Just put a little bit on the back. And then the rest of it I'll kind of leave so it's flapping up. So I don't really want it super up, but I think it'd be kind of neat. And then when you put it in the card, it'll be a little bit flatter. And then when you bring it up, it'll show up. So there you go. That'll just close. And then that one's to the front, which is pretty neat. Okay, so let me show you one more thing. I want to just move these out of the way. And I want to show you, let me just get rid of all this scrap stuff real quick, and I'll show you how to cut these down. Don't worry, the maid will clean all this up later. That's me, by the way. I make more mess for myself, I swear, than anything. Okay, so now I'm just going to bring my trimmer back in. All right, so this card I believe was 5.5. Yep, so we want to make this one a 4 1/4. So we're going to just, again, line up the tip of the wing with the 4 1/4. Put this down and cut. So I know this is a little bit, you know, it's a big card for such a little card, but you could add something cute to it. This one is, it will fit into an envelope, but if you were going to give this to somebody, or if you were going to make your own envelope, you could still leave it a little bigger. So this one will fit in an envelope. This one was the one we were going to do top ways. So this is 4 1/4. So this one we have to measure so it's 5.5. So I'm going to go just a little bit down in case I screw that up. Okay, so this would be our 5.5 card. And then it's just going to open up this way. Okay, we'll put like our sentiment. I will finish these later on today, but we'll put some balloons in there, something else. I will finish that for you. Same with the dragonflies. I believe this one is 5.5. So as you can see, when I folded this one, this is a perfect example of how I told you I folded it and they might not line up correctly. You can see it's got 2 layers. So the way we will solution that is to move this over to 4 1/4. And then now we have a perfectly even card. So we just cut off that little extra lip there. So really simple for that one. I understand. Hey, Brenda, that's exactly how I felt too when I used to watch everybody that I watched making cards before I became a demonstrator. I'd always be like, man, now I want to go home and make cards, but I have to stay here and wait till I can punch out. All right, so I just lined that one up at 5.5. So that's 5.5, and then this will be 4.25 if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So then there's your other card. And again, you can put this down. I just kind of left it up since we have like that little up butterfly look. Once this is sealed a little bit, you could fold this up a little as well. But really pretty card. Super fun. And I'm going to share, I'm going to pop all these back up here so you can see what we did today. We did these. I will finish these eventually. I think this is my favorite. I love those colors together. What a great color combination. That was Lovely Lipstick, Bermuda Bay, and Balmy Blue. It's really, really pretty together. We have this one here, Butterfly as well. I still have to finish this. I'm going to have to rerun this through again and hook this together. So I still have to finish the cross portion of this, but I will hook this together and cut this one as well. And the cards we started with from yesterday, this one. So this is going to kind of be this way. Remember, I told you I cut this the wrong direction, so that's why this is a little wider. So you could cut it the other way as well if you wanted to. But that one is a beautiful card. Where have my other cards gone? Here they are. Here's the other original balloon we did. This one was with the solid balloon images. And then that was our Rainbow Dragonfly. So all really, really pretty cards. I hope you guys will give some of these a try. And if you do, make sure you share their image. You can post things here to Rachthestamper on the Facebook page. There is a spot for people to be able to interact. So you can post pictures of your cards if you want. I'd be happy to see the cards that you guys create. That would make me super happy. And also, I'm going to leave this open for a little bit. I'm going to leave this open until next week. I have an extra paper pumpkin to give away. So I know these were sold out. This was the 6th anniversary paper pumpkin kit. If you guys didn't see it, they make these cute pop-up cards. So I have one entire extra kit. I'm not going to send it in the box unless you want to pay for the shipping. But if you leave your name, you know, because you're already logged in here, and a comment. And if you are watching this on the replay on YouTube, if you leave your name and a comment, I will do a drawing and I will give someone the paper pumpkin kit because I have an extra one. I ordered 2 by mistake. I meant to turn it back to 1 and I forgot. And I'm not going to make a whole nother set of them. So if you guys leave your name, leave a comment. I'm continuing talking that way in case you didn't leave a comment. You have time to leave a comment. And I will draw a winner for that next week. And again, if you didn't see, and I think I put it at the top. Let me just make sure what I said. Where is it? Hold on, I'm seeing. Terry Davies. If you all are friends with Terry Davies or you know Terry Davies, tag her. She's the one that won from yesterday, and I'm going to send her out a little prize. So Terry Davies was the prize winner. So again, just make sure you leave a comment. It doesn't matter what. It can say, hi, great video, Rachthestamper, you are the absolute best and you rock. I'm just kidding. And I will draw a name and give away that paper pumpkin kit. So somebody will have something fun to play with and hopefully make some cool pop-up cards with. But if you guys try this, share a picture. I would love to see it. I will post all of the details on how to make this card once I have some time to write it up because it's a little bit more detailed. So I will post all the details to rachthestamper.com, which is my blog in case you're new and you don't follow me. We will be having the new annual catalog be mailed out. So if you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to mail you one, but I need to know your address. If you are a current customer of mine, you will automatically get one. Don't worry about it. So if you placed an order in the last 8 months, you will get one. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope it doesn't rain too much here in Maryland because we're supposed to get some stinky weather here in Bel Air. I think it's supposed to rain all day today. So thank you guys. Thank you, Diane, but I do rock. I appreciate it. I hope you guys love these cards and we'll give them a try. They look really intimidating, I promise you, but they're not. Just maybe the first time you make it, don't use like your absolute favorite cardstock or like your last sheet of Island Indigo or Strawberry Slush to make it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a super weekend and I'll see you next week.